Prague, capital of the Czech Republic, is nowadays a great attraction for foreign visitors. At the beginning of June, it also attracted the grand family name of Peugeot. The traditional meeting of owners of this famous French brand is L'Aventure Peugeot Meeting. And this means a lot to Peugeot, hence the attendance of a family member.
The association L'Aventure Peugeot, who is organizing every year an international rally of old cars, old or ancient Peugeot cars, and each year it's a different countries. And this year we're in Prague, and we have about 82 cars, old Peugeot cars, coming from all over Europe to drive through Prague and also outside of Prague in the countryside. So my father, Pierre Peugeot, was the one who created L'Aventure Peugeot, where the idea was to put together all the old cars or whatever product has been manufactured by Peugeot since its beginning. It's not to live in the past, it's just to have those products on the roads again, and they were great success some years ago, and showing to the people that they're still capable of going on the roads.
L'Aventure Peugeot Meeting is not just a classic veterans meeting, it's become much more of a rally, which the owners of these beautiful cars all followed to Prague, then Zbiro Castle, and finally to the West Bohemian metropolis of Pilsen. It all kicked off on Saturday morning at the Dvořák embankment in the centre of magical Prague. One of the oldest cars was presented by Václava Brunslikova, who was in period dress. We came to show off the Peugeot 201. It's a 1929 car and built as a delivery van. It was probably used for shop deliveries or something like that, maybe even a bread van. We've had it around 4 years now, and I've personally driven it for 3. I actually enjoy driving it. It's quite different from a new car. It only has 3 gears, and the ride is interesting to say the least, but I love the car, and I just hope we make it to the finish. Then I'll be very happy. As you've heard, L'Aventure Peugeot Meeting is more than a gathering of historic cars, it's also a race. The crew have to work with a route guide. Tough challenge. Working with road books, very complicated, but I've not underestimated the situation. I've already done my homework, so everything's going according to plan, no problem. The oldest car rested with another Czech competitor, Andrej Kuba. It was built exactly 90 years ago. This is a 1928 Peugeot family car, and it's a covered cabin. At the time, it was the second cheapest car on the market. I haven't had it very long, and to be honest, I don't know very much about it. In fact, I've got no history on the car at all. But we do know that it started life in France in 1928 in a hilly region. That surprised me because it only has a 14-horsepower engine, so how it pulled up all those hills I'll never know. It's got no real speed either, but it does have character, lots of it. And just because it's a small engine doesn't mean it's hard work to drive. Mechanically, it's very straightforward, and you can still get about 80% of the parts to fix it. What you can't get can be manufactured. It's really primitive blacksmith work. As for the body and the interior equipment, that's easy and straightforward too. I mean, look at the upholstery, for example. It's classic Weinmann trim, and that doesn't call for specialist work. You can use the normal cleaning stuff you might use on your sofa at home. Mr. Kuba started number 1, so this granddaddy of all cars was first away. Destination from Prague was Zbiro Chateau, located in the Pilsen region in West Bohemia. This event ran like a Swiss watch, with the top brass from the Czech Peugeot organization being very impressed. These cars here have real magic. There are models of the 402 from 1937 or the coupe from the 40s. They're truly unique. For example, the development of the lion in the emblem is really magical. In pure motorsport terms, this was not a tough rally, but for many, working with a route guide proved to be more difficult than it looked. However, eventually everyone arrived safely to the finish at Zbiro Chateau to round off Saturday. Zbiro Chateau is an important part of Czech history from the 13th century. Here, famous painter Alfons Mucha created the Slavic epic, and another distinctive claim is the deepest well in Europe, driven 163 meters down. And also very famous is the history of the brand of the lion, Peugeot. The legendary Lieutenant Colombo was well known for driving a Peugeot 403 Cabriolet, styled and designed by Pininfarina. L'Aventure Peugeot this year had 5 of those cars. One is driven by the furthest travelled Marco Rimolo from Costa Rica.
I brought my car 6 years ago. I found it in Costa Rica in very bad shape. It was a car imported by an ambassador, a French ambassador in Costa Rica. And when I saw the car, I knew, because I like France, and I knew about the car. And of course, it's the Inspector Colombo car. So I bought it for $450. And then immediately I contacted the club, which were super nice. Especially at that moment, the president of the 403 club, Pierre Arnaud Duval. And he helped me a lot. Actually, he was so nice that he did, with his own hands, he did the engine for me. And he shipped the engine to Costa Rica. So we redid the engine and a total restoration. And then I'm proud to have it here. So my passion for classic cars, for Peugeot, Prague, I had to come. So definitely I'm very happy to be here and I love it. It's so beautiful.
One of Peugeot's most successful models is the world-famous 205. But one of the rarest models is the 205 Turbo 16, with only 200 cars ever built. These were as a result of Peugeot's involvement in the World Rally Championship in the legendary Group B class, and the factory produced 200 street replicas. With this 205 T16, the team won world titles and went into the record books. One of those rare cars arrived for L'Aventure Peugeot in the Czech Republic in the hands of owner Jean-Pierre Maridet. The model 205 Turbo 16 is the sport version that came into being when Peugeot formed the factory team to challenge for the World Rally Championships. For the homologation process, they had to build 200 cars, so they did just that. Those cars were offered to their dealerships on a special deal. I was a Peugeot dealer at the time, so I naturally bought one. It was a boring metallic grey, whilst the factory team had theirs in fantastic livery and official team colours. But then came a tragic accident in the World Rally Championship, and in 1986, Jean-Pierre Nicolas and Jean Todt decided to stop the rally programme. The factory then decided to sell the cars off to dealers and enthusiasts. They were so special, it was a no-brainer for anyone remotely interested. So I was quick off the mark and managed to buy this Peugeot 206 T16 Sport, serial number 192. It was an official recce car for the Finnish world champion Timo Salonen, and I really wanted it for that reason. It was actually built for purpose. Peugeot Sport produced it specially for the rally, and that's what it was used for in these exact team colours. And it's the real deal. But I never competed in it, I just preserved it. And with 30,000 kilometres on the clock, it's a really special car. It means a great deal to me. It's from the Peugeot Sport team, and that, in terms of provenance and pedigree, means everything.
Oui, et puis elle est sentimentalement, c'est une de Peugeot Sport. Pour moi, c'est très important.
After stepping back from rallying in 1986, Peugeot carried on in the motorsport scene, picking up titles and trophies in many disciplines, including many Dakar wins, in classic rallying, and, of course, the famous Le Mans 24-hour. Peugeot has a very long tradition in motorsport. It's no secret that Peugeot has won the very first ever car race in the world. This race measured 126 kilometres and went from Paris to Rouen. Since then, they've been able to win a huge line of trophies and titles in all possible disciplines. Among the most valuable, several victories in the Dakar, but also triumphs in the Le Mans 24-hour. We also won the World Rally Championship and even flirted a bit with Formula One. At present, we've got a factory Peugeot Sport team in the World Rallycross Championship, where our colours defend the phenomenal and stellar Sébastien Loeb, who's doing so well this year, he's placed himself on a podium in every single race. We're now back at the 25th L'Aventure Peugeot here in the Czech Republic for the first time. Everyone was keyed up for the Sunday stage from Zbiro Castle to the capital of West Bohemia, Pilsen. And here we caught up with Philippe Boulet, owner of one of the most beautiful cars in the event, the 402 Dalma convertible from 1938.
Bonjour, cette voiture c'est un cabriolet 402 Dalmat.
This car carries the label 402 Dalma. Monsieur Dalma was Peugeot's concessionaire. The Dalma concession still survives in Paris today, and this particular car was styled and designed by a dentist who just happened to be a very talented designer. He worked on this car and many others. The bodywork is styled in the Rue Malmaison theme, which was a style which captured a lot of attention and was prominent before the war. The theme was also carried through to many other brands. The car is a 104, which was produced only for 2 years in 1937 and 38. This particular car, though, was built in 1936 as a prototype for testing at Montlhéry to see if the car was suitable. It was an exhaustive test program, but the car passed with flying colours. Peugeot then gave Monsieur Dalma the green light to build it. We found this very car in Seattle in the USA. It was in bad shape, but absolutely complete, and that's the key. Originality is everything. It was finally sold at auction in Reims in France in December 1938 to an American. When he went home after the war, he took the car with him. We know the story and everything about the car, but we do not know the American's name. And here's the second oldest car in the field in the hands of Czech owner Miroslav Saruba. It's Peugeot 201 from 1921. I bought it in the Czech Republic, but it was in a terrible, terrible state. We put it together, and it's still running pretty well. But for the enthusiasm of their owners and various collectors, these beautiful cars would not survive. Happily, there are enough people with soul around the world to preserve these cars for posterity. But the 25th L'Aventure Peugeot was drawing to a close, and as we said, a visit to Pilsen and its well-known brewery was a good way to round off the event. On the spot was this year's Dakar Rally winner, but most of the attention focused on the incredible veteran lineup.
My Peugeot 204, it's from 1917, and I race this year in Monte Carlo in south of France, both in France, and I go in Corsica too. It's a small car, it's not a lot of horsepower, only 50, but we have a lot of fun with it because you must drive very carefully and very fastly to make something well. I found this car 20 years ago and I was the second owner. I bought to the very first owner, and 2 years ago I discovered once again the first owner and the first garage who sells the car. So it was a nice history because I have all the history of the car. For these events I enjoy the moment, and my wife especially, because I drive slowly, just to discover the landscape and the states also, and slowly.
It was very nicely organized, very nice. Just the weather is a bit so on, but the organization is very good, very interesting.
There is no doubt that the Czech Prime Minister's international L'Aventure Peugeot gathering was a huge success for all the entire weekend. And finally, it was time to name the winners of the two categories, the rally itself and the most beautiful car. French rally champion Jacques Marchand was victorious on the opening rally stage, whilst the Sunday victory was taken by Monica Grandel in her Peugeot 504 Coupe.
I'm really proud winning the competition because it was the first time in these meetings that they had like a rally driving, and I'm doing rally driving in private on my own with my brother, so it was like kind of easy for us, but even with that we are really proud having won because it was really funny. Well, it's a Peugeot 504 Coupe. It was built in '73. I fell in love when I saw it, and that's why I bought it, because I think it's the nicest car in the world. Well, for me it's the nicest car, so I bought it and I found it, and yeah. I have the impression and the feeling that in Czech Republic, with presenting the cars for the public, this is quite a nice idea, and so even in Pilsen or in Prague, all the people can watch our cars, and that's really, really nice and amazing and really nice.
The most beautiful winner turned out to be not a Peugeot car, but a 1929 model P105 motorcycle, owned by a very surprised Czech, Edward Kout.
Já jsem spíš utrpěl vítězství, takhle, jo.
I've won a victory, but it's a major shock to be sure. I was not expecting it. My motorcycle is a Peugeot from 1929. It's a 350cc overhead valve unit construction model with the engine and gearbox in one lump. I bought it from France, just like this. It was a real find, so I jumped at it. The bike needed a bit of work, but just like a Swiss watch mender, I fixed it with a special magic hammer, and today it runs very well. She runs a bit hot, but everything works fine, and that's the main thing. So I'm very happy. I absolutely love the event, and the people are very kind. Such beautiful cars and a magical atmosphere. Really nice. The 2018 L'Aventure Peugeot meeting is now behind us, and thanks to the efforts of all the enthusiasts who made it possible, was a great success. And that includes the participants, of course, as well as the audience. The main objective was to have fun, and that they certainly did. So it's au revoir and merci, Family Peugeot.